Hi, I'm Sweet Sylvanians, and I make videos about Sylvanian families, also known as calico critters. And today I am finally doing a tour of my entire collection. A while ago, I asked on my Instagram if my followers would prefer this to be a longer or short video, and the result was overwhelmingly in favour of a long video. It has ended up being way more than 30 minutes, so feel free to not watch this all in one session and come back to it if you prefer. But with that being said, this is my entire collection. I've had Sylvanian families for about 20 years. It started when I was a kid with things bought from charity shops or which I received as gifts. And then as an adult, I came back to them, and while my collection has expanded a lot in recent years, it's something I really enjoy. I am an out of box collector for the most part, so everything is in little scenes and it's across these shelves in the corner of my spare room. So this is an overall look to see the whole area. That's the tall shelf, and we'll go through them all one by one. So this area I call my town square. It's where I have a lot of little shops set up, as well as lots of figures, and is one of my favourite spaces I've made. So here is an overview, and we can start over here. So this is the donut shop, which is run by Carol Osborne in her lovely outfit. She has lots of donuts on there, as well as coffee and tea, and some of the figures are shopping there. So Bridget Fielding is picking out some donuts, and Andrew Woodbrook has already got a coffee. And right there by the table, baby Jason Osborne has one all to himself. And in front of there, we have Melody and Mimi talking to Ava Osborne. Then there's the waffle and crepe store, which is run by Fraser Chocolate. So lots of things there, with crepes and waffles in the display case. There's a little sign, and Grandma Fern Timbertop is queuing to get her treat, as well as a couple of Pookie Pandas behind her too. Then at the back, I have the Kerry Cottage, which has been turned into a pizza parlour with a pizza takeaway set. I always have Sylvester Spalker running this, and again, the pizza set is one I've had since I was little, and I think it's a really fun scene. And the delivery truck is stored by the side too. Oops, Leon Fenton has fallen over. There we go. Some of the Keats family are sitting here on the bench deciding which pizza to have, and beside them the snow rabbits are there too. Right at the back is a telephone box. This is one of the UK exclusives, and Mrs. Keats is in there phoning someone. Beside that is the greengrocer's. So this is made up of two of the farm shop stalls plus some more crates out front. I've ended up with a lot of fruit and vegetables in my collection, and they wouldn't fit on just one stall. So this is run by the Bramble Hedgehogs. The Treefollow Owls are shopping there, and Perry Buckley from the Forest Blindbags, who is dressed as an apple, is like a little mascot, and Mr. Grand the lion too. In front of there, I have the Toy Wagon. So this is one of two toy shops in my collection. This one is run by Squirrel Father Kenneth Fairbanks. There's lots of toys for sale and balloons, and the Outback koalas are there too. And right at the front, we have Mr. Webster the Milkman. He's quite an old figure and was one of the limited edition ones. So lots of milk items around him, and some ducklings too. And the Brightfield goats are buying some milk from him. The dark petite or marmalade bear here with the baby on a little car. Then Avril Husky and Aubrey Woodbrook are meeting with their babies in tow. Let's go here. So this is the Candy and Cookies wagon run by Christopher Cottontail. And that has lots of children queuing up to buy some sweets. And if I come over here, I then have a small sort of bakery stall from the bakery shop starter set. And although I have another big bakery, which I'll show later, I liked the idea of having a smaller stall too. We've got some customers queuing up here, mostly grandparents, but Westleydale has not noticed Emma is looking towards the sweets and is about to wander off. Next to that stall is a plant shop. I also have another flower shop too. So this one is more plants and gardening items, whereas the other is a florist. Again, a few customers there, and that is being run by Barbara Dale. This is the Village gift shop run by Cecile Butterglove. This was actually my first ever Sylvanian Families item. It came with Harold Beagle and was what got me into collecting, so holds a really special place in my heart. And is very busy with lots of customers wanting to buy gifts. Next to that is a post box where Pete Petite the postman is doing a collection. And this building here is one of my handmade ones, and it's a supermarket. I don't really like the current supermarket because it's too small. The old one is okay, but just didn't have enough space for what I wanted. So I made this one out of foam board and I've called it Harvey's Supermarket and Delicatessen. So that has lots of shelves which are well stocked with all sorts of products, and the customers are in there too. And this side is the Delicatessen. So uses an old food buffet set which I got as a child, I think from when the Collector Club imported the Japanese exclusives. I really wanted to use that as a hot food counter in the supermarket so the villagers could buy ready-made food. And there's a drink stand too just behind the gift shop. So that is everything on that shelf. It's on the top with nothing above it, and I really enjoy how this is a bustling area with villagers doing their shopping. So I can come down here for an overview of the shelf below. This is a more green space, like a park scene, but also with a house at the back too. Again, there's lots of little activities going on. This is quite a tall shelf, which is due to the Celebration Tower home in here, so let's take a look at that first. It's a lovely building, which is a recolour of the red roof tower home and has a working lift. This runs by turning the weather vane on the top. It's quite noisy, and I think the lift is missing a gate, but I got this and the other Celebration building second hand on Facebook Marketplace. So the Wildwood Brown Rabbits live here. I've done a bit of a strange layout, and this top floor is meant to be a bedroom and nursery, but I'm not really happy with how it looks. Below that is a small kitchen, so there's a cooker, a microwave cabinet, and a fridge. No sink, but there is a dining table and some baked goods on the car. And the ground floor is the living room, where I've used the Liberty flowery furnishing set, which has pretty green furniture I thought worked with the pink walls of this building. And to the left of that house is part of the park. This is the ice cream shop run by the Hawthorn Mice. Imogen Hawthorn is on the till, and this part is a soft ice cream shop. Alfie Maple from the Ice Cream Duo, hiding there as a mascot, and Bryce is taking orders. So there's lots of ice creams on the shelf ready to go too. There's a picnic bench to the right from the Woodland picnic set, and the Doherty Chiffon Dog family are all enjoying various ice creams sat on there. And up at the front, here is the second baby from the Ice Cream Duo, and another penguin baby. They're having some treats too. So the rest of the park area has lots of activities, with babies and children enjoying themselves. A little slide where Peppermint Marlowe is going down. This rocker from one of the carry cases with Mallory whiskers on. The triplet grunt piglets. This swing is one of the old Tommy ones. There's a small baby picnic table which has a big cake in the middle. At the back, this Ferris wheel should be able to turn. Again, this is fairly old for my childhood collection, so the elastic band doesn't have much friction. A tree as well from the Primrose Park for a bit of scenery. Then more babies around. Just get these straight. Oh no. There. And a sandpit at the back where the Buttercup cows are playing. This is the maypole from the Maypole Dancer set, and some of the girls are twisting the ribbons while others watch back here. A little convoy of cars from the various twin sets. And back here is the swing from the new nursery series where there's lots of babies playing. So that is that shelf. This is the bottom shelf, so to be honest, it doesn't get as much love as I have to sit on the floor to see it. But I like all the buildings in here, and maybe I should try and switch things around to see them more. So let's start on the right. I have Dorothy Patches, the dinner lady, running the stew shop. This is another random Japanese exclusive, which was released in 2008. It has some really lovely details like this sign, which shows what's being sold, and tiny bowls of stew too. The lop-eared rabbit siblings are enjoying their own bowls just here, and behind them is the marquee. Again, this is from when I was a kid, and unfortunately the roof is a little broken. In there, I've been inspired by the Great British Bake Off to have a sort of cooking tent where some of the children are making different foods and meals. If I take off the fabric roof, it might be a little lighter inside. And there's a closer look too. The table at the front has 3 dishes, all with a small portion taking out for tasting. Greta Fairbanks cooking there on the right. This little sink and stove combination is a great item from the home economics room set. Fridge there. And Sophie Snowwarren doing some washing up. The judge for the cooking is Basil Hazelwood, who is the chef that came with the Regency Hotel. In front of there are the Husky siblings on their bike, who are being guided by Maurice Chantilly, the lollipop man. And this is the floating cloud rainbow train. Some babies are on there, as well as Misty Forest fairies on the steam. And behind them is a tiny version of the train from the Periwinkle Rabbit Triplets bath time set. If I go back here, I have the Country Flower Shop, which is one of my all-time favourite buildings. I've done a separate video showing this in more detail, but it's being run by Christabel Corntop, and I've added the garden shop pieces too. Compared to the other flower shop on the top shelf, I think of this as more selling bouquets and gifts. Some of the town girls are shopping here. And Sandy Hopper the kangaroo has bought some flowers and is keeping them safe in the buggy next to Katie. I also have Rosalina Pookie and Nana Brushwood on their bikes here. And this is my dentist. It's in the small part of the Celebration home set, which is a recolour of the Sweet Raspberry home house. So we've got Wade Waters having his teeth checked by Spencer Clearwater the Vole. There's a sink in the back, as well as posters. And Sybil Clearwater is wearing scrubs and waiting behind the pharmacy reception desk for any new patients. Then on top of that is the final part of the Celebration home set. This is a smallish house, but I've managed to fit in a bedroom, kitchen and an armchair to be the living room. I've got it set up for the Persian cats at the moment, but that may change. It's a very little kitchen in a pretty mint colour, and there's lots of pink in the chairs and plates, just to match with the walls. The armchair is pretty old, and there's a side table which is very sparse and needs some books or something else. Little Ryan is there pushing a toy pram. Upstairs are bunk beds on the left and Dawn Persian. The white furniture is from the lilac floral bedroom set, so it has a lovely wardrobe which has some purple clothes in. Oops, a hanger fell out. And there's a dressing table behind too. And also a bath there from the Periwinkle triplet set. Okay, so then I can move along to the bottom of my second big shelf. This has 2 houses on, a school and other activities. In between these two is the mini shop, which is run by Richie Hopper. This is another older Japanese set, and I've got a dedicated video on it. Bridget Fielding and baby Clipperty, who's asleep in the pram, are out here. And this is St Francis's Schoolhouse. This one is again from my childhood, but I somehow managed to lose the library tree building, which looked like this. But still, in the main building, Aristotle Treefellow is teaching the students. All of these students are some of the shorter child figures, and for the timber tops, these are the really early version that didn't have movable limbs, so they're all stood on the chairs rather than sitting. Above that is Orchard Cottage, which was one of the first buildings released under Flare. My McCavity and Sandy cats live here. The 2 grandparents are downstairs with furniture from the conservatory set, Then baby Scott Sandy with his keyboard. There's a tiny little sink and cooker item to make up the kitchen area. It does partly block the door, but I imagine that's okay. Above there, in the roof, is a bedroom and play area where two of the children are having fun. You can really see the difference between the older McCafferty figure on the left and the newer one on the right. I think that this family is very musical, so there's lots of instruments. Rumpus McCafferty here is holding maracas, which thankfully I can use because he has gripping hands, and he's in a handmade outfit. There's a piano at the back, and a desk on the right from the classic dark brown furniture range. The bed is much older, but matches quite well. Back moving down, there's babies playing in a puddle or rain, and a little train with some baby passengers. This is the signal and platform, and they are all from a 2013 train set. The big building is the Country Manor House. This is a Tommy house from the 80s, and I got it second-hand as a kid, so some of the windows and doors are broken or missing. But I really like it, and for a long time this was the biggest, fanciest house I owned, and the grey Babblebrook rabbits have always lived here in my collection. So I can start on the ground floor, where the children share a bedroom. This side is Bubba's, so there's a book and green bookshelf beside it, and then a larger bookcase with books and a trophy on the top. In the middle is the crib from the Nightlight nursery set, and there's a baby in there in the old style gown. Also a little green play horse here for him. Over on this side is Breezy's area. So there's the pink dressing table with all the makeup and accessories on. To be honest, this is a bit of a nightmare as things fall off at the slightest movement. She also has a bed, and Evie Hazelwood has come for a sleepover with her pull-out bed and sleeping bag. On the upper floor is a large kitchen and dining area using several of the newer kitchen sets, which I think work really well for a kind of fancier look. I have used the older green telephone set, and this is actually metal. It's looking a bit worse for wear, but it's still attached on. And behind that, Father Rocky is doing some cooking. The island means there's actually two sinks in this kitchen, and they have lots of appliances too. These cabinets never stay closed. And then over here, Grandfather Cliff is reaching out for some pie, while Baby Coral is in a high chair at the back. And now the very top of the building, which is getting quite close to the shelf above, so there's not much room. Grandma Pearl is hanging out some washing, and this is a kind of outdoor space. So there's a few chairs, the flower stand, and topiary trees. So yeah, that is the bottom shelf. If I then move up to this shelf, this is at the same level as the park. So there's a couple of houses here as well. This one is Meadowcroft Cottage, which is where the cottontail rabbits live. On the top floor is a little bathroom, then a children's bedroom area with a doll's house. Downstairs is a living room area where some of the mother figures are around having tea and cake. And then a very small kitchen area with a washing machine. They have a post box. And Elm Snowdrift is delivering some parcels there. Also a garden shed and outdoor sink area for figures to wash their hands. And at the front, these two babies are from the Bug Buddy set and are looking at the flowers. Douglas Fairbanks is pushing sleeping baby Claire Keats in the wheelbarrow. In the middle here are three girls who all have backpacks. Evelyn Woodbrook is checking she has a book, so maybe they're going to do homework somewhere or go to school. In the middle of the two homes is the beekeeper Horace Honeybear. This is another set I adore. It was a UK exclusive in the Down on the Farm range in around 2010 or 2011. It's absolutely flair at their best. I also popped two little babies here dressed as bumblebees who are helping Horace. Okay, I can move on to this house, which is where the squirrels live, so both the Fairbanks and the Walnuts. It's one of the older Tommy buildings, I think named the Country Cottage. This ladder is actually a random piece of fencing, but I think it looks okay as a ladder. Downstairs, they have a kitchen, a cabinet with some of the older ceramic dishware on top. Greta is doing some ironing and Emma washing clothes, while baby Ambrose is watching from the sofa. Upstairs, Saffron Walnut is looking after baby Annie. There's a desk behind her, and the loft bed too, which fit well in this small room. They also have a doll's house, which is modelled on the larger version of this house, which I do own and will get to later. In front of their house, there's a community garden and vegetable patch, which follows on from the beekeeper. Quincy Marmalade oversees this, and lots of the children are helping to grow everything. So there's another shed at the back with lots of tools in, then a panel for flowers, an outdoor tap which came with a vegetable patch. Harold Beagle, the stable lad, has the wheelbarrow and is watering some seedlings. These boys are moving some of the vegetables to a wheelbarrow to move to the grocery shop, and the McCaffertys are also helping too. So yeah, a really nice community area, and really it spans the whole shelf with the shed and sink over here too. Then I can move up to this shelf, which is kind of in between the park and town market, but it's at a really good height for me standing up. So here's an overview of the two different areas. It's mostly taken up by Hilltop Manor on the right, but on the left is a nursery and a play park. So let's start over there. This is the 1989 Tommy Nursery, which is run by Jane Seaduck over there and her daughter Suzanne helping too. The babies are all in their nursery uniforms, which are these pale blue smocks with a white collar and different colours on the pockets. So lots of activities going on in here, with some games, building blocks, a little lesson back here, and also two new students in the form of the baby sheep kindergarten duo who are in different uniforms. This building is great with lots of open space. In front of there is a play area, which I had originally planned as a space just for the nursery attendees, but I have so many babies that they needed somewhere else to go. So this is just another park play area type space specifically for the babies. Okay, a new angle. At the back is a nursery slide which goes with the sandpit that's in the park. There's a kind of pretend shop going on. And Bilberry Bramble is always a shopkeeper. He's another older figure from my childhood collection. So playing here are Billabong koalas, Snowfluff polar bears, and various other babies too. This little train, the wheels do move, but the foam isn't great for that. And they also have a baby toilet and hand washing sink. So yeah, lots of things going on there. Before we get onto the house, I have a couple of spots where I basically have figures I don't have a proper scene for. So the fairy tale friends are all lined up here in their colourful costumes. I took all of their hats off to not leave indents on their heads. And then over here, out of the way, we have a coven meeting of the Midnight Black Cat babies. The two on the right are from the Magical Babies blind bags, and the one on the left is from the new Nursery Friends sleepover trio. They are all doing something very magical. And I'll move on to the biggest house in my collection, which is Hilltop Manor and where the chocolate rabbits live. I bought this building on eBay, and as I have so many chocolate rabbit figures, they really needed all this space. So at the top, this is the kind of attic space, and it's quite short with an angled roof. I've set this up as a baby nursery and playroom, so the triplets over here, a couple of regular babies playing with Play-Doh, which is from a Gashapon, a little bed where there's a sleeping baby all tucked up, and two newborns at the end in another crib. There's a bathroom here where Grammy's going to the toilet. This family only have a baby-sized bath, so could definitely do with a larger one. This ladder comes down to a balcony area, and this is where the classic versions of Freya and Krem stand surveying the whole of Sylvania Village. I put this rose vine here because I thought it'd be cute and match with the red. A little desk over here, a baby piano, and a plant. Then I can move this ladder out of the way to see through to the children's bedroom, which is much sparser than I would like, to be honest. They've got bunk beds though. This hallway space is where the seaside friends are, including Sabrina Sandy and another Freya chocolate. Their backpacks are just strewn on the floor. And then there's a cabinet, bookshelf, which has a globe on top and some books on the shelf. And this is one of the very few parents' rooms I have across all my houses. Most of the houses are quite small, so I don't usually have the space, and there also aren't many parents' beds available from Sylvanian families either. I actually just have two of this version. They have a bedside table and a nice dressing table too. There's another baby playing with a pop-up toy there, so it's not a very peaceful area. Then if I go down to the ground floor, it's quite open plan and I don't fully know how to set this up. So at the back is a stereotypical lounge with a TV and sofa where Grandma Patricia is sat. They also have a fireplace with various trinkets on the mantelpiece. And then these two armchairs are where it gets weirdly empty, but there to sit on when someone plays the grand piano. This is a really lovely piece with the open lid. Oops, the music has fallen down. There, and the teacup left on there from whoever was playing last, which is not a good idea for a real piano. Also a telephone by the front door at the back. And this is the dining room area, where one of the crumbs has been left alone and is eyeing up those macaroons which have been left out for a guest. Also a cabinet at the back here, with some fancier crockery in. This is the worst decorated room, but is not very viewable, so I've not done much. There's a sink and kitchen cabinet in, and also a small oven cooker there. But yeah, that is out of sight, out of mind, so not that interesting for a kitchen. And right above that, on the very top shelf, is where I have some storage. So this is a second schoolhouse with random furniture. That building back there isn't Sylvanian, but I got to compare quality. And then lots of spare stuff in bags. The seasonal things, Christmas and Halloween, as well as other figures and lots of those green cradles, which I seem to get all the time in second-hand bundles. Yeah, I don't normally see this from this view as it's just above my head, so I probably need to make this way more organised. And on the very top, right by the ceiling, are other boxes and packaging. So that is this wall of shelves. It looks like that. And we can move on to these two shorter shelves. And these are also more shallow too, but still lots going on. So two homes up here. This is Highfields Farmhouse. I bought this for £8 on Facebook Marketplace, and it's home to the Dale sheep. So up in the attic room is a bathroom. They actually do have a full-size bath and shower, as well as lots of bath toys for the children and babies. There's a ladder leading downstairs to the parents' bedroom, so a double bed. In the back, there's the roll-top desk if you can make it out. Then a shelf and full-length mirror on this side. I have two different versions of the Dale sheep, so I've made the parents in the older version grandparents instead. So that's this one over here. And then the grandma is doing some hoovering and watching over crawling baby Sean. This is a double height room, which is wonderful for the babies. So one is asleep in the crib at the back. These two are the Alice in Wonderland duo. They're having a little snack on some sheep-shaped bread. Also a little bookcase with some toys, and Shona playing on the piano. Another of those little trains with some items in the trailer, and more things on the big shelf. I can move down again with another ladder, which I'll move out of the way, and this is the living room area, which is really cosy, especially if I turn the fireplace on by pressing the button. I've gone with a more old-fashioned theme for this area, so there's a black and white TV which folds up, and the grandfather clock. Then some cosy sofas where the children are having some tea and biscuits. There's also another phone, and some wellies by there. Boots in the basket and a broom too, and then a big kitchen area where Ewan Dale is doing some cooking. So if I move him out of the way, this cabinet is full of crockery and utensils. Then a big oven and fridge. The sink is from the blue rustic kitchen set, which I think works so well for a farmhouse. There's a little dining table with some snacks on, and finally a single high chair, despite there being a lot of babies. This jug and pot have Sylvanians illustrated on them and are from the farmhouse accessories. So next to them is a narrow garden area. There's a post box there, some garden accessories and flowers. At the back, Mitchell Bubblebrook and Barker Fenton are having a barbecue. Little Pumpkin Hilton on the swing, and that can swing. Then Sadie and Miriam are eating their food from the barbecue. Next to that, I have a rather large house, but it's actually two different buildings. So on the bottom is the Blackcurrant Cafe, which was another Facebook Marketplace find. This was first released in 2012, so that golden era of flair again. The cafe is run by the Cheshire Cats, so I have Grace Cheshire here in her lovely pink outfit. And other than the pizza takeaway, this is the only restaurant in Sylvania, so it's rightly very popular. There's lots of sandwiches in this display case, as well as drinks. Mr. Cheshire is cooking at the oven in the back. Then two town girl older sisters are having a lovely meal together. There's a couple of buttercup Frisian cows waiting to order, and at the front are the town girl's baby siblings who are also having some food. Above the restaurant is a sky blue terrace, which is the home of the Buckley red deer family. The ground floor has this kitchen area, so a small shelf on the wall, then the usual furniture you'd expect. By the door is a phone, and then a lower table for the babies to eat at. Rupert is overseeing them, so hasn't noticed this baby crawling off. On the second floor is a baby playroom. I have a lot of these Buckley babies, so needed to do something especially for them. There's a little mat with a car here. One baby going down the slide towards Freddie. This Perry has an easel from one of the Gashapon capsules. There's a rocking chair in the corner and a tiny piano as well. On the very top floor is a bedroom, so Maria and Millie are up there with some beanbags and an extra baby, of course. There's a bed with handmade bedding. And there is a sleeping baby on the top bunk, but you can't quite see. And then another play area with a doll's house too. So there is the terrace, or Buckley Manor, I guess. And that shelf in general. So going across next to the Blackcurrant Cafe, and you can see the takeaway window here. But I have another small shopping area. The main item here is the Sylvanian toy shop, or miniature house shop. I posted a video on this a couple of months ago and haven't made too many changes, except it's now run by Olive Highbranch. So lots of miniature Sylvanians in there. There's some dads chatting while their kids are over here, and Egbert is helping Bree and Bran on the slide. I have a few of these lampposts around, which are from the Town series. Also a motorbike at the back because I didn't know where else to put it. And the So Stylish Persian Cat sisters are here with baby Ryan in yet another Sylvanian train. To the left, I have a big house. So this is the old Tommy Deluxe family house, and is basically the larger version of the squirrel's house. I'm not completely happy with how I set this up, and for now I have the caramel dogs in here. So the top floor has a bedroom, with a bed from the log cabin set, and just in caramel from the Magical Babies blind bags on a rocking horse. There's a bathroom with the sink and accessories from the newest toilet set, and then a large bath too. This skylight opens up, so I have the lantern from the sleepover trio hanging off that. And on the ground floor, I've tried to go for a more traditional look, so Vivian is enjoying a book in her armchair. These go around the classic brown TV set. By the door there's a desk and gramophone with records. Next to that is a fireplace back there and a telephone. Up at the front, Carly and another Justin are playing with the doll's house, and this does match this house. I really like matching them up like that. And back here is a bit of a higgledy-piggledy kitchen. So there's the oven from the log cabin set and the classic brown cabinet. This is the Welsh dresser, and that has plates lined up, and these like to fall out at the slightest movement, so I'm not going to attempt to touch it. There's an old fridge, and there's stuff in there like in all the fridges. And some cakes on a stand on top. These are stools I've used to store the scales. And then a big pink dining table with Tony chairs all around, and some apples and biscuits in the centre. So as I said, I'm not completely happy with this, partly because the building just seems a bit too big for the caramels. So I might swap out a different family, but I originally liked how the roof matched with their outfits. I've gone down to the shelf below. This is in two separate sections, this left part being a campground. So lots of figures here. Esme Chantilly in her blue tent, which is from my childhood. Bruce Husky at the back supervising. Also some bikes there. I like to think that they cycled to this campsite. Oh, and some provisions at the back too. So yeah, general outdoor activities going on. And then the rest of this shelf is my Misty Forest area. Again, I'm not completely happy with this. I think it needs some taller pieces to balance it out. Or maybe the shelf needs moving up entirely, as there's quite a lot of room above it. But it'll do for now. So starting from the left, there's the cake cart and the tomato swing. And all around there's various babies like the Bug Buddies and the New Forest blind bags, and others generally with a flower or fairy theme. And also Misty Forest fairies dotted around like here, and here, and there, and in here. Then there's the Waterside swing set, which came with the willow deers here and here. Then Strawberry Fairy of the Flowers set, with the little fairy and their hat beside it. I tend not to leave the fairies' hats on in case they leave a mark. This sign is from the cake car. And then little Adelaide Outback on a mushroom sofa from last year's Coogee lottery. And finally a basket with all the fairies' wands in so I don't misplace them. I do really like this area, but think it could look better with more flowers or plants. And actually I might just need a green mat instead, or even a different colour for a more mystical look. I'd really welcome suggestions on how to improve it, so please let me know. Then I can move across back to the other shelf. So this is staying on the same level, but it's a much more complete setup with the bakery and lighthouse. The Starry Point Lighthouse is quite tall and a really interesting shape, though it's not actually got that much usable floor space, so I've done my best with what's there. The kitchen came with the building, so it fits perfectly in this circular room, and then this extra piece of decking extends the front to create more space. I've used these bench seats as a kitchen counter or cabinet space for extra plates and stuff. One little Sandy Neptune on the whale toy here. Oh, and the sea otters live here together, so that's the Splashy and Neptune families. This room doesn't really have a purpose, it's just got a telephone and some sewing bits. Then the hanging boat bed, which I wanted to include, but it does take up quite a lot of space. Up top is a kind of living room area with a bookshelf and shell sofa, also some babies playing with toys. And this is the absolute shortest little bed. This is a top bunk because it's the only thing that would fit under the sloped roof. That has felt bedding I embroidered with shades of blue, and there's a teeny stool in place of a bedside table. Caspian Neptune is looking out at the baby who's sat in this hanging balloon just off the edge of the lighthouse. And at the very top on the lookout are Shelley Neptune and Polypolar Star with the telescope. And they have their own Sylvanians to play with from the Gashapons. And their backpacks round here. Just in front, there's a couple of babies having a picnic. They've got a pie and a game of snakes and ladders. And then this is another kind of in-between small space, this time with a green fabric mat from the vegetable patch set and a hammock. And on there, Grandad Tom Fisher has fallen asleep with his hat covering his face. Obviously, he's not actually asleep, but having him like this tickled me. Then Primrose and Sophia Willow are looking into the window of the Watermill Bakery. I love this bakery. I think it's such a good building and really well laid out with lots of space for bread and just generally looks lovely. So this is run by the Apple Blossom Grey Squirrels. So Christopher here and his wife Jane. I actually have two Christopher Apple Blossom figures, so another is up here at the smaller bakery stall. I imagine them to be brothers. But back to the main bakery, there are lots of baked goods for sale. Some baking going on in the oven, though it is a bit too full to close at the moment. More items on these shelves. And Silk Cats and Carissa Outback and her babies are here shopping. So that is that whole shelf. Then I can go down another level. And for a sense of where I am, this is how the shelves look from this perspective. This is another shopping area, I guess. On the left, this is two pieces of the department store, so you may recognise the shape of these buildings. On the top is Pippin's Cafe from the Applewood department store. Instead of a cafe, I have this as a specialist cake shop, so you can see a little better here, and it's run by Prunella Beagle. There's lots of cakes in this display case here, and a little one in the back. Then one with a big cake in here, where Holly and Barclay Wildwood are looking. Brightfield Goats are enjoying some cake and drinks. More on display here. And Harold and Antonia help out their mum. Just bring Flora Wildwood back there. I have so many cakes that I needed to have a specialist cake shop, but liked the idea of having it as a cafe too. So I think this works. That building is on top of the Country Market, which is a lovely mint colour and is another Facebook Marketplace bargain. I have this stocked as a kind of baby care shop, like a mother care or specific part of a department store. So on this side, there's lots of toys, tiny shoes, and baby books. More toys at the back window too. Mildred Mulberry shopping with Baby Pumpkin. And down here was a pharmacy area. I have a little baby bath for sale here, and creams and stuff. Then the big shelf has other products and soap and baby food, more like everyday things, I guess. The Chantilly's are buying some bubble bath here from the shop owner Mrs. Bassett. I do like this building with all the posters on the back, and the jar on this window shelf. The Waddle Penguins are just in the corner here, mainly because they don't get anywhere else. Pearl is having fun in the little car, while Rocky watches on. This area next to it has one building here, and the rest another pedestrianised shopping area. So these stairs come down from the department store where the moles are. This is the older popcorn cart run by Matteo Fontana, and the Fennec Foxes are getting some snacks from him. The Grunt Pig children have already visited, and May has a churro, maybe Hugh has already eaten his, and those signs are pointing towards the campsite and Misty Forest area. A postbox over here, where Richard E. Grant is posting a letter, and then this is the old Tomey Schoolhouse, which is a bookshop or library in my collection. I'd love for there to be an official bookshop building, but as far as I know, there's only the little book and stationery shops there. So this is run by Taylor Timbertop, who wears an oversized pair of glasses. There's lots of books available on shelves from the Tomey Village store or the original bakery. This area has books for the babies, and then wall-to-wall shelves everywhere else, with lots of customers too. Out here, Jessica Sunny has already picked out a book, and is waiting for her brother and Ike Mulberry to pick theirs too. I also put another of the town's Zoe streetlights, so if I just get that, oops, it switches on at the base, and that is the solid light mode, and there's also a flickering light mode as well. So I'll finish the rest of this bookshelf with this shelf, which is on the very bottom. So this is basically on the floor. There's a plug socket above the skirting board, but two more buildings on this shelf. So on the right is the Cottage Hospital released by Flair, which again I got second hand. So this is more of a GP clinic and pharmacy, There's some nurses, including the school nurse. Murdoch Jr. is treating Grandfather Reese chocolate. Then Milo Cakebread from the Trick or Treat Parade is green and has a scar, so I thought he definitely needs to be in the hospital. He's just getting measured. Carmen Cottontail is talking to Mrs. Maces on reception. And then this shelf has lots of items on, like medicines and creams and other things a pharmacy would sell. This is also prone to falling, so although the orange bottle has fallen over, I'm just leaving it. There are also some wheelchairs back here and a hospital bed, but I just don't have room for them in this building. I will go through that section, but first this is the dressmakers, which is another homemade building, but this time made out of wood. So this very small metal tubing on the side is the right width to hang up the spare clothing and outfits I have. There are also some boxes underneath with more in too. The sewing shop stand is from the handicraft shop, and the spare buttons and threads on there, and other things on the cabinet next to it. Nancy Waters runs this shop, and she's here with the Marguerite Rabbits, who are wearing their new Easter outfits from her. More clothes here, and balls of wool. The changing room is from the Tommy Boutique, and it has 2 wedding dresses in there because I didn't know where else to put them. This is another clothing rail with more dresses hanging up and bags on top. This is the fashion showcase set from the Town series and has more shoes and hats on, though it is a bit of a mess at the moment. Lyra Persian and the Periwinkle baby are shopping there, and even more outfits hanging outside. The baby's in costumes on the benches. Jason is from the Seashore Friends blind bags, and Mo Burrows from the Undersea Friends duo. They're waiting here because next door to the dressmakers is Cecil Mace's photography area. He's ready to go here, and right now he's taking pictures of the Darling Ducklings trio stood beneath a pretty arch. There's more costumes and accessories for photo shoots. And there are babies from the Royal Princesses set waiting their turn here. It's definitely a bit strange to have this next to the hospital, but I liked having it near to the dressmakers. It's a random spot with Periwinkle Rabbit newborn babies. 2 of the Iris babies are asleep in the crib, and little Owen is waking them up. So that is this shelf. My last 2 shelves are very incomplete and not great. I hadn't really thought much about these, and I did want to wait to film this video after I'd sorted them, but I just didn't want to put it off any longer. So I expect these shelves will look very different in a future collection tour. This bottom shelf is just storage really, with another Tommy nursery, random bakery stairs, and the wedding car inside. This is the Little Woodsies Theatre I did a video on. I've still not got around to painting it. And the 1980s bakery, which has some furniture and cakes inside. Then I've given this shelf a bit more thought, but it's not quite how I want it yet. So on the left is the Strawberry Sweet Nursery, with the Very Very Babies in there, along with Fliss Robinson. This hasn't really changed since my video a couple of weeks ago, except I did add some of the extra decoration stickers onto the walls. Next to that is another swing chair, I think from the Primrose Park playsets. Again, I've just sort of put it there for now. There's a new Japanese candy wagon, which would have been one of my more recent videos, and Madeline Merriweather is currently on duty there. And to finish the main shelves, this is actually a Little Woodsies building called the Sunshine Tiki Hut. I've got Libby Seabreeze in there, and what I like about this set is that it came with this big translucent water piece. So I've put the Pool Fun trio on here having a water fight. So the dolphin from that set, then the swan boat, and the raft from the forest blind bags. Inside the hut are goggles and flippers, and a shower as well, which I thought if you've been in the water you would want to wash off maybe, and the Little Woodsy surfboard. So yeah, that shelf definitely needs some improvements. Above that shelf is the Misty Forest and Campsite shelf. So that is it for my big Ivar shelves. But I do also have this little trolley. I use this for storage and random bits and pieces, so tweezers on top and a soft toothbrush and washi tape cleaning the figures. This box has lots of leaflets and the stories that came with the figures. Then some of the new sticker books and catalogues. At the bottom are random plastic bags for storage, and then items I haven't opened or am specifically keeping in box. This is the 35th anniversary box set, which comes with a Persian cat, and the Japanese version of the Puddleton Ducks, which I bought from Jack Batch when he sold his collection. And then my lavender rabbits, which I did unbox, but I'm just keeping them in here so they don't get damaged by the sun. And finally are two Misty Forest carry cases. So yeah, as of June 2024, that is my entire Sylvanian Families collection. This is going to be a very long video. I actually had to stop and recharge my camera battery to get through it all, and my memory card is almost full. But I hope that this was interesting or enjoyable, and you have a better view of my collection too, as it's usually only in the background of some videos. If you want more detail on anything I've shown, then leave me a comment and I'll reply or make a separate video if it would be helpful. And yeah, I really love Sylvanian Families. They bring me a lot of joy and I'm so happy with my collection, but also excited to see how it evolves and changes. And also where on earth I'll put a new bookcase because these ones are pretty full. So thank you for watching, especially if you've made it to the end. I make Sylvanian Families content every week, so subscribe for news and unboxings and setups, which are usually much shorter videos than this.